Um, we will go ahead and get started. Um, Good morning. Welcome to the Town of Hilton Head Island Gullah Geechee Land and Cultural Preservation Task Force meeting, April 5th. And we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Um, Sharice, are we in compliance?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
Miss McVitie, Mr. Theodore,
Here.
Miss Wright, Mr. Abdul Malik,
Present.
Miss Davis,
Here.
Mr. Simmons, Miss Green,
Here.
and Miss White. Okay, that's the roll.
Okay. And the next item I have is the approval of the agenda. If there are no changes or corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. And if there are, thank you, Todd. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Teresa, do we need to call the roll for approving the agenda as well?
Yes, you do.
Okay. If you would, please.
Mr. Stevens,
Approved.
Mr. Theodore,
Approved.
Mr. Abdul Malik,
Approved.
Miss Davis,
Approved.
and Miss Green.
Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. The agenda has been approved. And hopefully you all have had a chance to read through the minutes from the March 1st meeting. And if there are no corrections, I would also entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 1st meeting.
I so move.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. There a second?
Second.
Thank you. Therese, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Stevens,
Approved.
Mr. Theodore,
Approved.
Mr. Abdul Malik,
Approved.
Miss Davis,
Approved.
and Miss Green. Yes, thank you.
Okay. The minutes have been approved. And before we move into the citizen comments, I should have said at the opening, I wanted to take a moment to recognize the loss of one of our members out of the community from the First African Baptist Church, Reverend Alvin Petty, who we lost last week. He was a dear friend and certainly a great part of this community. So I did want to take a moment to acknowledge that. And also wanted to acknowledge the presence of our council men and women. I see we have Councilwoman Becker and Councilman Brown and Councilman Lennox on the line as well. So thank you all for being here. Okay, citizen comments.
Yes, public comments concerning the agenda items were submitted electronically via the town's open town hall portal. Those comments were provided to the committee for review and made a part of the official record. In addition to commenting on the portal, citizens were provided with the option to sign up for a public comment participation by phone during the meeting. The open town hall portal closed at 4:30 on Friday, April 2nd, 2021, and a sign-up sheet for the public comment period closed at noon on Friday, April 2nd. There were no comments made.
Okay, all right, thank you, Sharice. And the next item we have is the discussion item is the update of the top priorities for the Gullah Geechee project recommendations. Just to remind everyone, I think everyone on this call knows, if anyone in our public is listening in, there is some movement, there's some activity, there's quite a few things happening. So I just encourage my task force members to stay vigilant and not get weary. I think we are making some progress, although we realize there's still a lot of work to be done. So I'm anxious to hear the update, and at this point I will turn it over to Dr. DeBose.
Yes, good morning. So I know that you all know about the framework, but it is important to go through it again and set the stage to help relay to members of the community the good work that you all have done. So in late 2019, Town Council voted to approve the Gullah Geechee Project Report Recommendations Framework. In early 2020, staff began working on the top priority projects, beginning with drafting the amendments for the proposed Historic Neighborhoods Preservation Overlay District. So the overlay district encompasses items 1 through 4 on your framework. If you have that in front of you. If not, I will share my screen and we can go through those items one by one. So the proposed district, again, encompasses 1 through 4 on the framework, and it includes consideration for reductions to buffers and setbacks, reduction in access width, additions to height and impervious surfaces, density increases in some districts, and applications for family compound and family subdivision. The application for a property development within the proposed district would be expedited and the fee waived for compound and family subdivision applications. The first draft of the amendment was sent to the task force in March. Unfortunately, the quarantine began due to COVID-19 and in-person meetings were canceled. Meetings for the task force resumed and were held in July, August, September for the revisions of the amendment. At the September meeting, the task force voted to pass the proposed amendments to the LMO committee. 2 meetings were held in September, and the LMO committee voted to pass the amendments with their revisions to Planning Commission. And in preparation for Planning Commission meeting, notifications were sent to the owners of impacted properties and those within 350 feet of the impacted properties. And as a result of the public notices being sent, more citizens became aware of the proposed overlay district, and staff began receiving phone calls and emails with concerns, particularly with the flexibility and development standards that could target areas for developers to take advantage. Additionally, subdivisions within the historic neighborhoods were concerned that the proposed overlay amendments would interfere with their neighborhood covenants. So as a result, the Planning Commission voted in late 2020 to move the HNPO district recommendations to Public Planning Committee and added the staff look of ways to exclude platted subdivisions from the proposed overlay district boundaries. The PPC met in January and February of 2021 to discuss the following revisions to the proposed district. So first they want to, there was the discussion to move forward with the family compound and family subdivision applications, which serves the purpose of preserving the communal living traditions among Native extended families in 2 ways. First, the family compound is a single parcel of family where multiple homes can be built Infrastructure can be installed in the order of construction, and access to the property is via a 20-foot access easement or a 30-foot right-of-way to the point of development. Also, the family subdivision is divided property to either develop or save for future generations, which is what the desire was specified in the report. Infrastructure can be installed as the property is developed rather than all at once, as you have to do for a regular subdivision. So for 5 lots or less, 20 feet access easement is required, and for 6 or more lots, a 30-foot right-of-way is required. Secondly, PPC asked that we look at defining property owners that could use the family compound and family subdivision applications. And that is to include those who have had property in their family since 1956, which was the year the bridge was built. Also, the third way is to establish a clear meaning of family. As you know, that a lot of Native Islanders lived among each other in extended families. So family includes your spouse, biological or legally adopted children, and extended family as from a common ancestor. It's important to know that family compound and family subdivision will be heard by Town Council on April 6th, which is tomorrow, for the first reading. And because there were changes to the proposed HNPO district as you have first viewed it, and these changes were made at PPC level, it is important that family compound and family subdivision go back to Planning Commission per South Carolina law, because Town Council is deciding a different proposal than the Planning Commission recommendation. And this meeting must happen before Town Council's second reading. The Planning Commission will meet on April 21st, and Town Council's second reading is scheduled for May 4th. And it is important to emphasize that this is not starting the process over. Family Commission will make their vote on family compound and family subdivision, and it does not have to go back to PPC, but it will go on to Town Council for May 4th for second reading. So moving along to item number 5, that is CP 17, and this is on your framework. This is a letter of introduction that was sent to the historic churches, which was the First Historic African Baptist Church, Queen Chapel AME, St. James Baptist Church, Central Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church, and Mount Calvary Baptist Church. And these letters were sent last week. And regarding the availability of staff for any questions that might arise within the historic district. And it's important to get that message out there as things are starting to open up again. In the meantime, churches are notified of public meetings and any other activities that impact the Native Island community. So we're trying to keep those lines of communication open. Number 6 is CP 14. This is establishing an open air market. Staff has begun outlining the process to establish a market and began drafting the applications for vendors to participate. Because of the restrictions on gathering due to COVID-19 and their restrictions on gathering, we were not able to proceed at this time with the project. Staff is planning a press release to identify vendors, and also please let us know if you know of anyone who is interested in participating in the market. Number 7 is CP7, and this is creating a program to educate on Gullah history. Staff began working on this we conducted a webinar for the American Planning Association on resilience in vulnerable communities, preservation of Gullah Geechee culture, which actually had 368 participants who were urban planners and interested citizens. And staff is planning to record that presentation for town staff and community as an education tool, as well as put this on the town website for public viewing for their education. And staff is working on a story map, which is a web tool that shows maps, text, photos that can give detailed information about who Gullah people are, the history, the challenges that Native Islanders face, and efforts made towards resolving those challenges. So all this good work that we're working on now will be made available to the public and for their education. Number 8 is partnering with the Community Foundation of the Low Country to create a fund to clear property titles. This hasn't been started yet, but the first step is to meet with NIPA and discuss recommendations and make plans as to how to move forward. Okay, so flip to your next page. This is number 9. This is HP2, and that's leveraging other organizations to address heirs property. And we're finding that more people are learning what heirs property is, what the challenges are, and why it's important to resolve. And a formal project has not been started yet, though steps have been made to work on clearing the title, which will be discussed in item 11. So number 10 is PP14. That's the sign program for temporary and seasonal signs to promote educational opportunity for Gullah businesses and residents. Staff has worked on preliminary designs and cost estimates. And so the next step at this point will be to reach out to NIPA and work through it that way. Number 11 is HP1 and CP1 put together. This is utilizing the Heritage Library, which is a first step to clearing land title. And the Heritage Library is setting up a genealogy clinic to provide support to research history and genealogy. And this is a critical first step for people who are seeking aid from the Center for Heirs Property Preservation or from a private attorney. Number 12 is PP12 on the framework. And this is establishing a program to educate Gullah residents on policy. The Links Incorporated has been doing this the last couple of years because they've had a grant to set up that they're using to set up workshops with the Center for Heirs Property, which educates the public on heirs property, forestry program, and the wills clinic. So the Center for Heirs Property Preservation just held a wills clinic on March 31st. Okay, so let's flip to number 13. Staff has had conversations with the Center for Heirs Property in terms of creating a satellite office on Hilton Head Island, but there are no plans to create one at this time. Right now, there's social distancing due to COVID-19, and their meetings are actually happening virtually. So they haven't been going on location to do their consultations like they usually would. And 14 is CP1. This was already discussed, and that's promoting the Heritage Library. 15 is PP11. During tax season, Beaufort County sends delinquent taxes regularly. And on March 31st, the 3% penalty was added to the delinquent property taxes, and that latest list is expected soon. And this is work that staff has been doing with Beaufort County, during tax season, just getting the list once a month to see who is delinquent. Also, Penn Center had a program to provide funds for those who are having difficulties paying their property taxes, and that application period lasted through February. And people who call with questions about paying property taxes or want to pay property taxes for other property owners, they're referred to Ms. White's program. Number 16 is PP3. Walk-ins are ongoing. We've seen quite an uptick in those lately. Staff has been working with Gullah property owners to assist with town regulations and work with different departments to resolve these challenges within the community. And case studies was discussed at the last meeting concerning the different challenges that staff mostly faces, and that will continue to be updated. So these are the 16 top priority projects as displayed in the framework. Staff has worked extensively on these projects, particularly spending a lot of time on projects 1 through 4 over the last 15 months. And as family compound and family subdivision move to town council, staff is ready to pick up the pace on the other recommendations. And staff is looking to complete these top priority projects or pass these projects to appropriate organizations by the end of the calendar year. Thank you. And any questions at this point? If Mr. Stevens will go through the roll to the members so they can ask their questions and make comments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, okay. Let me just, I'm just going to go through the roll as the people that I see here. Okay, Sharice? Um,
That's
and,
fine.
yeah. Let me start with Mr. Theodore. If you have any questions or comments about the work plan and the framework that we have before us.
Thank you, Levon. No, I mean, I was kind of thinking back to the years that we've been involved in um, building this list. It's been a lot of great input and a lot of hard work for everybody. I hope that items 1 through 4 continue to move along. It looks like they're 3/4 of the way there, so hopefully they can cross the finish line. It seemed like some of those are the ones that were important items that needed to be addressed. Therese, on number 6, the open air market, had there been any discussions on where that might take place in terms of location on the island?
Yes, we're looking at 3 places. The Squire Pope Park, also the old Gullah Market might be a possibility, and then the town-owned Tina Jones property was another place that has come up for discussion.
And then hopefully those locations would be vetted through the the vendors and where they feel like they would get the most exposure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good, good. No, I mean, I know last year's been a crazy year, and hopefully everybody stays healthy and they get their vaccinations, and hopefully figure out ways to move a lot of these items forward. Don't know what this year will have in store for us, but hopefully can start moving some of these things along and make progress with them. So seems like a great list, and hopefully we keep this thing moving along. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. Ms. Davis?
Okay, I'm unmuted. um, I would just like to say that thank you for the report. It's enlightened me and helped me to understand all of the work that has went in and how far we have to go. And I'm looking forward to that first success story, maybe one of the case studies that you presented before. Hopefully soon we'll be able to hear some success. Thank you for the work.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Were you acknowledging me, Mr. Chairman? Levon,
Yes, can you hear
were you
me?
acknowledging? I can hear you now, yes.
I think he's disconnected. If you want to go ahead and make your comments while he's trying to
Yes,
reconnect.
yes, ma'am. I don't know if I missed it or not, but regarding the information that was initially a part of the report on buffers and setbacks, did I miss that will be a part of the reading, or what the intent is in terms of when that will be ready to be represented to reinterjected into the process? Did I miss that?
No, you did not miss that. So reductions of buffers and setbacks have been considered for the family compound and family subdivision, which will be presented tomorrow at Town Council. In terms of the whole overlay district, we are waiting on any kind of direction from Town Council in terms of moving forward. But right now, the focus is on moving forward family compound and family subdivision.
Okay, then. So then, when you indicated that most of the work that you're working on now will be done by the end of this calendar year, would that necessarily include the other guidelines from Town Council on buffers and setbacks for the entire overlay?
It depends on what the decision is made by Town Council. But the family compound and family subdivision would be considered aspects of the overlay district, but it's hard to give you a definitive answer until we have further direction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I apologize. I think I'm still having some issues with my connection. Did Shawnee, did we recognize you? Do you have some questions or comments?
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm proud that the 1 through 4 are pushing through and being looked at extensively for the compound and subdivision, because that is very important and it needs to be looked at and pushed through as soon as possible. I also wanted to reference number 6, the Gullah Marketplace also. If I'm correct, you said that the areas that we're looking at are the old Gullah Market, the Squire Pope Park. Would that be the Rowan Center?
Yes, it would.
Okay, and I'm most just excited about Tina Jones' plot because I had just spoke to some of the staff members about that, working on using that to keep it in the community. So I'm glad that that also is on the list of spots. So I also wanted to ask about vendor applications. When we spoke about, it was very little about vendor applications. Would this be like every time they have the market, or what are they looking at in the terms of vendor applications for when we have the markets? And how are we looking to get this information out to the public about the Gullah Market for number 6? Number 9, I think it's really important that we start working on and getting information to the public on how we can assist in the clearing of titles, because that is most important also when in reference to a lot of the 1 and 4 with the compound and the subdivisions. Also, I want to thank everybody also with the delinquent tax issues, because I think that helps with, keeping the word out of who's on it, and, if you know someone, to contact them and giving them information where they can get assistance so that we can help in that matter as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did want to address your questions. This is a preliminary work that's been started on the market. So as we go further along and we get a handle on how to do applications, that information will be relayed to you. In terms of information to the public, we're starting to use our websites more. We're providing that information through any kind of press release, but so we will work on getting the information onto the availability of the market. We're asking that as members of the task force that you spread that word as well. In terms of information for heirs property, the story map and other tools that we're using for public access will help people become aware that this is a problem that needs to be, be addressed. And again, trying to help people find resources in terms of paying taxes. So those are very good questions as we try to narrow down what as we move closer to trying to implement these projects, then we'll get that information, how to share that information.
Okay, was that it, Shani?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes, it does. I think I've covered everybody. Have I missed anyone else on that's present from the task force?
There's someone on that came on as owner, and I don't know if that's a member of the task force. Probably if.
White.
Okay, so this is Miss White on the call.
Teresa. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Teresa. Thank you for being able to join us. And we are having a discussion about the framework and the recommendations. I don't know how much of the presentation you heard from Sharice, but do you have any?
The whole thing.
Very good. You have any questions, comments?
I do. I noticed that the Pan-African Family Empowerment and Land Preservation Network is in the section in section 9 on addressing heirs property. We don't specifically deal with heirs property other than referring people to the Centers for Heirs Property Preservation and trying to work with the families to get the basic information they need to do their family trees and make sure that the elders in the family begin to talk to the younger people about who their family members are that would be eligible to be a part of the family tree and where the deeds are and who the original owner of the property is. But I was looked on number, and well, we totally got left out of number 15, which is the fund for delinquent taxes. And none of these other organizations that you have on this list here are actually paying the property taxes for anybody. We are the only organization in Beaufort County that's currently paying property taxes for people, even though Penn Center says that they are going to help people redeem property taxes from the 2020 tax sale. We have already done all those already, so they just being a copycat by saying and being dishonest by saying that they're going to do something that's already been done by another organization. So what we are doing is referring people who looking to have their 2020 tax bills paid to Penn Center and see if they can come up with some money to do that. But the Pan-African Family Empowerment and Land Preservation Network should be included in number 15 because we are actually paying property taxes for people on Hilton Head Island every year. Well, we've been paying taxes there on Hilton Head since 2017. But we got left out of number 15, so I just want to make sure that we get included in there. And what is CFL? I'm not sure what that is.
Community Foundations of the Low Country.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ms. White, I'm happy to make those changes to include you. I don't know if you heard that part of the presentation that says that in addition to the Penn Center program, that people, when they have questions about property taxes, they are referred to your program, to the Pan-African Network. It's not on the sheet, but
it's not on the, but it's not written in here.
Okay, and I will write that in there.
You wrote in Penn Center, whatever you did, prepared a press release, Penn Center, but you didn't write in Pathfinder, which is already paying taxes.
Oh, yes,
So I
ma'am.
just
I'll make that adjustment.
in here because we are as a result of national publicity that we've got people from around the country contacting us to ask how they can donate money specifically for Hilton Head Island. So if we are not a part of this right here, they'll be wondering why we got left out if they are donating the money directly to us for Hilton Head Island. So we need to make sure that we are in here so that we can forward this information to them so they know what we are doing and that we're working in partnership with the town and the community.
Can I jump in for a quick second, Sharice? This plan has been adopted and approved. Now, are we just make changes and corrections like that without any other processes?
That's correct. The plan has been adopted. It's approved. It's on the town website. So everything that you all as a task force has relayed, the community input, even places where it talks about organizations that assist, that's in the document, and that's already been approved.
So this document that we're looking at right now is the document that's already been approved.
No, ma'am. The Gullah Geechee preservation report has been approved. That's that binder that you all received in 2019. The one you worked with the consultant. That was approved in 2019. And what is before you now is just a working document that our committee is working with. It's not something that's set in stone, sent out, to the public saying this is strictly what we're working on. This is just a working document for us to look at to see how far we've come. But this is not something that you would send out to your public to work with. So I apologize that you were left off of item 15. I can certainly put that back on. And this is in no way intending to hurt your organization and the good work that you've done. So, and again, just that when we do get calls about questions about paying, your organization is always the first name that comes up. So we want you to continue that good work that you're doing, and we want to make sure that gets out there.
All right. Well, thank you for that. But I just wanted to make sure that it's on here because I'm also going to be showing this information to our board of directors, and they're going to be wondering how come we're not on here too. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate the input.
Okay.
It's a great report. We got a long way to go on some things and almost finished on others, so that's good. We got some progress, making progress. At least people in the community should look at this and see what's going on. You might think that we're not doing anything.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. White. And I believe that is all of the task force members that are present. My comments and a couple of questions. I would just echo very quickly while making this transition. We do appreciate Teresa White, all the work that you and your organization do, and you are a major resource in the county, if not in this region. So your participation in this task force is very valuable. And again, this framework is something that we've had before us for a while. So I'm happy that Dr. DeBose can go back and revise it a little bit to include some language to make sure we acknowledge your organization. But as she stated, we all know that you are a great resource and the work that you've done in the last 2 or 3 years. There's also been some work done within the community to help identify and contact people who appear on that delinquent tax list. And Dr. DeBose, you said this is something that you are now getting a list for monthly, especially during this time of year, this kind of tax season.
Yes, during tax season, the list does come in monthly. We've been starting earlier with each year to get a list on who is delinquent. And if you notice, up until March, you had until March 31st to pay without the 3% penalty. So that updated list for April is expected soon.
And you shared the list from the previous month with us?
That list was not shared because they were still on time for taxes. Those weren't delinquent yet. They will be delinquent this month.
Yeah, and you will share that with us, I guess.
And that will be shared, yes.
Okay, great. And I have a couple of questions, I guess, and observations. I know that there's 2 or 3 or 4 of these items that were mentioned where NIPCA was identified and mentioned, and I'm just curious as to how we're doing with communication with NIPCA, either you reaching out to them or them reaching out to you. You having any conversations with anyone from NIPCA yet?
Again, these are preliminary. We started conversations on a couple of these items. Just nothing has moved forward yet. So as things start falling off, those conversations will get more frequent and will continue.
I understand, and I know the pandemic kind of set us all back, and I'm just mentioning that to remind you and to remind us as a task force that we are certainly very close to that organization in the community. So if we need to strengthen that bond, you feel free to use us. I know you have a plate full, so please don't forget about using your task force because we have relationships with those folks in the community as well. The Heritage Library program, I wanted to ask you about that. I know you discussed it in the last meeting. I think one of the things that we had asked for, at least I know I did, was to have maybe some input or somebody from the task force to participate with that effort. Is that something that we have maybe asked the Heritage Library about, or can you tell me a little bit more about where we are with that? I'm just kind of putting it back on your radar.
That I've actually reached out to the Heritage Library. We're still talking, but I did ask about if there's input that they need from the task force, or if there's anybody that can be included to be a part of that program. So as I get more information, I'm happy to share that with you.
Yeah, and I would encourage us to kind of insist that we have maybe somebody from the task force to participate with that program. I think that helps to validate it. It gives us a little more confidence, and again, a little bit better communication with the work that they're trying to do. So that's kind of why I'm asking that or mentioning it. And we talked a little bit about case studies and the data that we have on like Gullah-owned properties and how many properties we still have that are within our Gullah culture. I don't want to assume, but I will ask you that you are still continuing to gather that information, and I don't know if you can speak maybe generally, not necessarily specifically with names about the types of cases that you see that are coming to your office. You mentioned that we're getting a little bit more activity of people coming in now, right?
Case studies are continually are updated. So as resolutions, as we come to resolutions, those case studies will be updated. Generally, what is seen is just the problems that come with adding another home onto communally owned property. So there are family owners that can take advantage of the proposed family subdivision coming up. especially with not having to place all of the infrastructure first. There's always something issue where you're trying to place an additional home and you have to increase your access. And so here it's that helps out if you're doing a family compound, family subdivision, that helps you with the access. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. And as we get more in, those will continue to be updated.
Yeah, and one of the other reasons I wanted to mention that too, like we're all saying, we feel like we're real close to getting a piece of this work done. That is again how we can use this task force as messaging for our community and for our public to let people know that there is some opportunities to get some relief. So I know we've had challenges and we've worked real hard on these recommendations over the last 3 years at least. So I want to make sure that as we get closer to getting something done, that we are, as a task force, also have very positive messages to share with the community. And as we said, that I think all of us will feel good about having some successes. And I know there are members of town council who are listening in, so we are encouraging and supporting them in an effort to move these pieces forward. As far as the communication, we talked about that. I know that's within our framework too, and it relates to, as I've been saying, the task force. And I know we have identified the churches, and again, even NIPCA as an important resource when it comes to communication. So I would just remind you once again that those are valuable resources. And again, if you need some help making those connections with those relationships, especially the churches, the task force, those of us on the task force do have some connections with that. And it's just another way of getting our message out, whether we have questions or whether we have information that we need to share. I think that is a positive way to get the message out. Okay, that's all my comments, and I do appreciate the work that you're doing, Dr. DeBose, and we're looking forward to having even more movement. I won't call it a success yet until we get past the town council, but I think that we are in a good place right now, and we are certainly don't want to lose sight of the other recommendations that are on the list, especially as things loosen up and, as we say, we get better with vaccines and we can kind of get some relief from this COVID-19. We're looking forward to kind of getting back to work on the rest of the recommendations. So thank you for your report. Now, I want to take this moment to ask if any of the task force members, there's kind of as a second round, do we have any other comments or questions about the presentation of the report that Dr. DeBose gave us on the recommendation? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all for your perseverance and hanging in there with us. And again, to remind us that there is a meeting tomorrow on the family subdivision, family compound. So we're just keeping an eye on the movement and the progress moving forward. All right, Sharice, do you have any comments for us or anything else you need to share with us?
I don't. A lot of what I shared was in the report, so a lot of things that I would have mentioned at the end was incorporated in the report. So that is pretty much all I have for you.
Okay. Well, if there's no other business, I will entertain a motion to be adjourned.
I have a comment.
Okay, this is the time.
I was wondering if you were still going to consider the possibility of maybe changing the meeting to 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock so that I won't have to be an hour late every time. I had to skip my other meeting today just to make sure I got to this one on time.
I can tell you that I did look at that. I had some discussion about that. And I guess we can kind of continue to look at that, Ms. White. But as of right now, I think this was the best time for the majority of us. But we can certainly look at that in the future and see if we can accommodate you a little bit better.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Malik.
I remember I heard you say that you had several members of the council that were chiming into the meeting.
Yes.
I wanted to know if it would be appropriate to ask them if they had any comments before we adjourn.
I'm not sure if that is within our protocol. I always welcome the members of council. I'm not sure.
Generally, that's not the protocol, is what I'm being told. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so. I do think that we can certainly reach out to them individually, kind of on our own time. I'm sure they love to hear from us.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions or comments? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you all again for your hard work and your patience. And we're looking at the finish line. We're not over it yet, but we're hopefully getting something done here. Anyone?
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Miss Davis. We just like together. Nobody wants to hang out for a while.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the motion for adjournment. We find ourselves adjourned. Thank you all so much. Have a very blessed day, and I hope you had a great Easter. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.